Hey there, welcome to the pod. Today, Blazers are officially eliminated from the playoffs. 19 wins on the season so far. I think to start the season, I said they would be closer to the 30 mark, so I was way off. And then one of you said 20 and one of you said 25. Who said 25? You
I think
don't
it was
remember.
me.
You don't remember. It
I
was
think
a
I'm
long
pretty
time
I'm
ago.
pretty sure I was pessimistic. I think I was at the 20 mark.
Yep. Yeah, it's they're gonna struggle to reach that mark. Yeah, how many games left in the season? Not a lot, but they need six more to reach that mark. Uh, what do you guys think? How have they lived up to the expectations so far this year, Riley? Since you were the pessimistic one, take it away.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, I'm disappointed. I am. I don't think this was a good season. I don't think that this was a good season where we showed awesome pieces of the future or glimpses of the future. I didn't see a whole lot that I liked, a whole lot that we can build on, to be honest. And I'm not here to just be doom and gloom by any means. I mean, there is hope. We should have another good pick, maybe two. We've got some good talent that just happened to be injured or not playing this year. But I just saw a lot of disappointment. We didn't really get to see Shaden take the next step into being like a star player, even on a bad team. We didn't get to see the guys play together. We didn't get to see like Shaden and Aiton and Scoot and Anthony try to develop any chemistry because they were just out so much of the season, which I don't know how if all these injuries were totally legitimate. I think Shaden's seems to be, or if we were just kind of trying to rest guys and take it easy, knowing it was going to be a bad season. But yeah, for the most part, I was disappointed. I don't, even if we get to 22, 23 wins, I don't think that's a win. You know, a lot of these are coming against really, truly horrific teams here at the end of the season, other teams that are trying to tank, other teams that don't care about winning, other teams with injury problems. Those are the teams that we're beating, to get to that 20 win mark. It's almost hard to play an NBA season without getting 20 wins unless you're, truly abysmal. So yeah, that's where I'm standing. I think that my pessimism was well deserved early in the year.
I think it's a little tough because the whole goal of this season was gonna be, developing talent should be the number one goal. The number two goal was kind of a record like this, but at the expense of developing young guys. And I think young guys are developing, just not the guys we wanted to see. Tumani Kamara, I've seen a lot of flashes from that guy this season. He's been a pleasant surprise at that late of a pick, is what everyone kind of thought was a throw in at the time. He's been a pleasant surprise, especially on defense. He seems like he could be one of those guys that you can send out there on any kind of perimeter player in the future and have some success against. I I I don't really love the development minutes from a lot of the players that we wanted to see. I think that when Shaden was in there running the show early on in the season, he had some pretty big highs. He had a stretch there. It was 10 games or something like that where he was playing really well as basically the only threat on the floor. He had no other guards. He was having to run point for a while. He started to have some turnovers, but he was still playing well, all things considered. And think guys started to come back. His shot started to go down with Anthony because Anthony was hurt for a while. Then he came back. You're right, Riley. There wasn't a lot of chemistry generated. Uh, I think it's too bad because Scoot, he's been in and out of the lineup all year. He needs minutes. He's needed minutes the whole time. There's some games where I think he needs more minutes just to play through anything he's got going on. And then there's some games where he comes off the bench. There's some games he starts. He's in and out. And so when he had a rough start to the season, and then you add such an inconsistent season for him his first year, that's tough. Uh, you want more instant impact, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because point guard's the hardest position to play. He's still 20. I'm kind of making these little excuses down the line, but my point is, it was not an easy season for any player on the Blazers roster. There's been some bright spots, but I would have liked to see more minutes from the young guys. Like you're right. I would have loved to see a couple like 5 game stretch from a Scoot, Shaden, Kamara, Walker, Aiton lineup. You know what I mean? Give us some of those kind of like every guy is somebody you're interested in seeing how they perform type games, because it felt like every single game somebody you want to watch is out. There was never a game really where everyone that you wanted to see was in. Anthony got hurt the first game of the season, second game of the season. So we never had a cohesive stretch. And that's too bad. And I think again, the end goal was reached. 25 wins or so, you're going to get a high draft pick, but I wish it could have come in a better way for the future.
Yeah, not getting to see any of that development does hurt. It's a little bit frustrating that through a lot of the season, the highs have come from like Jeremy Grant and Malcolm Brogdon. Those are the guys that are carrying the Blazers to wins, and you're really not getting any production or any competitiveness out of the young fellas. Yeah, it's a little tough. To be honest with you, Simons seems like a little bit of a can't think of the right term, but he kind of seems to be holding some things up. You're not getting those minutes from those young guys because Simons and the shots for that matter, and a lot of that development that you'd like to see from the young guys is sort of taken over by Simons because he's such a high usage player. You know, he puts up 15, 20 shots every game. And that's a concern moving forward, I think, for Scoot because we haven't really seen him be able to put up good numbers when he's taking a lot of shots. Like he can shoot a high percentage when he's taking 6 or 7 shots, but if he starts trying to get really aggressive so far this year, when he shot 10 or 15 times, the shooting percentage is terrible. He's like going, 1 for 6, 1 for 7 from 3 and putting up really low percentages. So, Colton, as you said, point guard is a hard position to play. He does have some of the other instincts that as a point guard that, don't include scoring. But in the NBA, you also really need to be able to put the ball in the hoop as any position on the floor. Hopefully he, as you've said many times, hopefully he starts to develop that left hand. Those percentages maybe go up a little bit because he's not forcing things with the right. And hopefully the shot starts to fall, although it does seem like that's one of the few things in the NBA that it's really hit or miss how that develops. I mean, look at like Russell Westbrook and those types of players that just never, Giannis, that just have never really been able to develop a jump shot despite their crazy athleticism. Hopefully Scoot doesn't fall into that camp. Those two players obviously have incredible gifts that help them overcome those issues, but I think there's a lot of players that got bounced out of the league because they weren't able to really develop that jumper. A random name that just popped into mind is Chris Dunn, another very, very high, highly touted prospect, great defensively, a lot of athleticism, never really able to find the jump shot. So hopefully Scoot can, or his other gifts make up for that.
Yeah, we're sitting here hoping that Scoot can develop into an offensive player, just knowing that you can never be a star player, a number one guy on a team if you can't put the ball in the hoop. I mean, you end up with that Ben Simmons situation, where the guy is super talented, maybe amazing on defense, but if you can't score, you just can only do so much to lead the team. Yeah, and a lot of that I think comes down to like emotional leader stuff too. I mean, the guy in the huddle who's like getting the team to go, at some point that guy's got to be able to put the team on his back and go get a 10-2 run pretty much on his own. I mean, that's what a star player can do in the NBA. If you can't do that, I just don't think you can be the best player on the team. Definitely not on a winning team. And another guy that we've talked a lot about, speaking of putting the team on his back, is DeAndre here on the stretch of the season. I just wanted to briefly mention, shout out to him. He was nominated for Western Conference Player of the Week this week, so there's little love there. But he mentioned something in his interview that I found a little surprising. He admitted that the first couple months of the season were bad for him, just basically a wash, that he hadn't played at a star level. And his reason for it was because he was sleeping on an air mattress the whole first couple months of the season, and that was impacting his play, which how much money are you making, bro? Like, we have a mattress world here in Portland that can totally take care of you, set you all up. Go buy a mattress so you can play NBA basketball. If that's what was holding you up from being a Western Conference Player of the Year nominee,
He's
we'll
a
send you all
weird
the
dude.
mattresses you want.
There's no denying Dominating's a weird dude at the end of the
He is a
day.
weird dude.
He's
And I don't know how
a
much we want to tie our future to that guy.
he's, as they say, a different kind of cat.
Well, the other thing he said is he's just out here trying to bust that ass. And that's what he's been doing. That's what he's been doing. I'm just gonna say he's been consistent. He's been consistently, efficiently scoring, rebounding, blocking shots, playing good defense. The roster around him hasn't been that great. But I also want to give a shout out to one Delano Banton, because he has been nothing short of a surprise for me. You give up a top 55 protected pick for him. The guy has been doing well. He's been shooting better than I thought he would. He's been kind of playing that third guard role. Sometimes he's been starting, sometimes he's been coming off the bench, but honestly, he's been producing. And as a 6'8", 6'9" guy who can handle the ball, every team needs that. Every single team could use that guy. You know, if you start showing your chops defensively, if you can hit your shots, but then handle the ball at that size, that's intriguing. And I really am interested to see what he brings next season. I think he's a must-watch player, not because I think he's going to be the best player in the league, but he could provide some value to the Blazers if he contributes on, at this pace, I think.
Speaking of next year, quickly, what's the one thing you guys want to see like to start the season? For me, it's DeAndre Ayton keeping up this continued pace. As I've said before, I think that this time of year it just really doesn't matter. The pressure's off of him, and it seems like that's when he does his best, is when he's not under pressure. So next season, when there's a little bit more pressure, when they're being competitive, and when they've got hopefully the whole team around him, I want to see this continued play from DeAndre.
I want to see some substantial minutes of Scoot and Shaden playing basketball together, because supposedly that's our future. Supposedly that's what we're building around. Supposedly that's the guard backcourt of the Blazers' next 10 years. And we haven't really seen it. We definitely haven't seen them develop any chemistry. We haven't seen them stay healthy for long stretches. I want to see them play together like through the All-Star break and see what we've got there. Because if it's not there, we need to know next year. We can't wait too much longer than that to make decisions about what our backcourt looks like.
I want to see two added impact forward / centers to the roster, whether that's a trade, whether that's a draft pick. I want to see just an influx of talented guys who are taller than 6'6". That is the way the NBA goes. Tall, guys who are middle 6'6" to 6'8", who can be flexible on both ends of the court, who can score, but also who can defend. I think the Blazers have needed that. I've been banging this drum forever. We need more players at that size. Yes, Delano Banton's a guard, but at least he's 6'8", right? So
You heard it from Colton. He wants another 3-guard lineup.
nope. I want more players, and I said specifically forward / centers
You heard it here first.
that are impact players.
Get Norman Powell back on the team. Colton's call for next year. What do you guys want to see from the Blazers next year? What's the #1 priority? Let us know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Bye.